thank you. Obviously say thank you to God. I really feel like he's definitely helped us along the way, every step of the way from day one, from before we even opened a barbershop to the point we are now. And I don't feel it's any kind of accident that I came into contact with you, Chin. I really feel like you're a blessing to a lot of people, including myself. I want to thank you for that. And also thank my wife because she's been such a great help all along the way. And so, yeah, I'm delighted to be on here with you, Chin.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, and then we're gonna step up, Andrew.
Okay. You know what I forgot to mention? Thank you to everybody that's on here. It doesn't need to be a huge meeting. I believe that the right people that are meant to be on are on, and I want to just give them a word of encouragement, let them know that, Chin's the real deal. He'll help you out as much as he can, and just keep on pressing forward to your dreams, whatever it is. And yeah, so my childhood, Chin, my childhood was a little bit rough. I'm not gonna lie. I grew up in a pretty broken home. Um, my dad left when I was about 5 years old. He got my mom addicted to some drugs, and my mom had to battle that addiction for, off and on for like 15 years. And I grew up a pretty, I don't know how I could explain it, but kind of confused at some points, kind of headed down the wrong path a little bit. Inside, I knew I wanted to kind of do things right, but pretty much all I knew and all I see wasn't the right thing. Um, I didn't do so well in school. I wasn't that good of a student. I think my mind was on other things. You know, as a kid, I was stressing out about things that most kids probably shouldn't be. Um, I ended up trying a university, trying a 4-year college after high school. I didn't do good at that. I was always pretty decent at cutting hair, and I eventually ended up going to barber school. So, you know, um, barbering, I got introduced to barbering because my sister's husband, he went off to the military. Um, bye. He went off to the military and he came back and he gave me a lineup. I remember I never knew what a lineup was. He gave me a lineup and I started asking him to do that over and over and over till I finally felt like, man, I'm bugging him. I better stop bugging him. And I went out and I bought myself a set of peanuts. I don't know if you guys ever remember those, the little wall peanut clippers. And honestly, at that point, I didn't know much of a difference between the clippers and the trimmers and all that good stuff. So I gave myself a lineup. Needless to say, it was crooked. I tried to kind of taper my sides a little bit. That looked like, I don't know, like I just chopped them off. I looked pretty ridiculous. But um eventually I ended up buying my first set of clippers. I kept practicing, got a little better. And then my best friend at the time, he's like, "Hey, that's not too bad. Give me a haircut." So I gave him a haircut. Um, and before you know it, more friends were asking for haircuts and more friends, and I was giving them haircuts for free. Sometimes, they give me $2, $3, and it really wasn't about the money. It was just something I enjoyed doing. I had fun cutting hair. We would hang out, and eventually I got a little better. Started charging $5, and yeah, that's how it pretty much went. So I was doing all that obviously through high school before I even went to college, before I went to barber school. And I remember my sister telling me, "You should just be a barber." And I was like, "I don't want to be a barber for like to make a living. I don't want to do that." So that's why I tried a 4-year college. But the more I started to think about it, well, barbering didn't sound too bad because I could make my own hours. I could, you know, make my own wages. Pretty much you're your own boss. Um, and after kind of messing up in college, that was my next option. And I wish I would have done that first. I wish I would have done barbering first, but yeah, so that's kind of like my background in that.
So what did you do when you got out of barber school?
Okay, so when I got out of barber school, I got to back up a little bit. So I met my wife before we went to barber school. Um, and we were actually attending the university together. Neither of us really cared for it. So we went to barber school together. She did the cosmetology program. I did the barber program. The barber program obviously is a little bit shorter. So I was out before her, and when I got out, I started working at a local salon. It was called Hair, Nails, and Beyond. I was the only barber in there with a bunch of ladies. Um, you know, they're really nice ladies, really cool, but I wanted to have a barber shop. I wanted to have my own barber shop. So my goal was to get out of barber school, work at a shop, get build up a little more clientele, and then open a barber shop and hopefully be able to sustain it on my own. And it took 11 months to do that. So it was almost a year, but 11 months into it, I opened my own barbershop. My wife, obviously, working with me side by side. There was a student at the barber school I went to that said, "Hey, Drew, if you ever open that shop, you know, let me know." And sure enough, I called him up, and he jumped in with me. He worked in my barbershop with me, and before you know it, we had four different people working there, myself, my wife, my friend Mike, and then another lady, Annette. And that was a struggle of its own. But that's what happened after barber school for me.
So how did the shop go?
The shop, it actually went really good. Here I live in a really small town, Chin, and reputation is everything. So I was doing the most for the least. I was doing, you know, the best fade haircut I could. I was offering the shampoo with it, a style, a hot a straight blade shave, and 13 bucks. And I want to say I was probably doing the most for the least in the whole town, even though there wasn't very many barbers at the time. And there really isn't, but um we are right next to the university, and I was in a pretty busy part of the town. There's two very popular restaurants near my first shop, and the word just started spreading. It just started getting out. You know, you could go to Straight Blade Barbershop, you could get a good haircut for a good price. Um, and I was staying late. I remember the first day I opened, I got there about 8 a.m. I stayed all the way till about 9 p.m. No lunch, just cut after cut after cut. And I remember how I stayed late was the university that is near our shop, they had a rugby team, and these guys were about to go to a pretty big tournament. Well, one of the guys walks in and is, "Hey, can you get me and a couple of my friends?" Well, a couple of his friends turned out to be like five or six, and I stayed cutting all night. But I remember feeling just so grateful. I was just grateful that business was good. I was tired, like you said, your back hurts, your feet hurt, you know, you're hungry. That shop didn't have air conditioning, so I was hot, but I was happy, Chin. I was just grateful. And um we're on our third shop right now. So that shop grew. I outgrew that shop. We moved into a little bigger shop. We ended up with, I want to say, seven people there. And then we outgrew that shop. And then I ended up in the shop we're at now, and we have 13 people there. So you know, it's been a decade since that. We got out of school in 2013. I opened my shop right around 2015, and we're now in 2024. And so, you know, give or take 9 years, 9, 10 years. And now thanks to you, Chin, and thanks to God and my wife, we've opened our school.
So you had this shop. Well, you had three shops, and you've been doing this how many years?
So I started cutting hair about 16 or 17 years old. I didn't get my license until I was about 24, 23, 24. And so as a licensed professional, I want to say I got my license all done in about 2013,
So
20,
how
maybe
was
2014, something like that.
how was it working at that all ladies shop salon?
To be honest, Chin, it was cool. They kind of left me alone. They kind of put me in the corner. Um, you know how sometimes in a all female salon there could be a little bit of tension sometimes, but I guess that's in any shop. But for the most part, I had my own clientele, mostly just all men. They did all women. Um, as long as I was sweeping, as long as I was doing the towels and helping clean and, keeping up on my rent, it went pretty smooth for me. But it wasn't my dream shop. It wasn't what it wasn't what I got out of barber school to do. I got out of barber school to, open my own shop.
Your first shop, so you transitioned from the all ladies shop to your own. How did you get that first shop? Did you drive around town and found a building? Take us through that process.
Okay, so my first shop, um, yeah, I looked around. Um, it was a little 600 square foot building, so nobody was really lining up to rent it. It didn't have air conditioning, like I said. It needed some paint, it needed flooring. Um, it just wasn't, something that everybody really wanted. And then he offered me a really good rent. I think it was 500 bucks. And I jumped all over it. I said, I'm paying 300 in rent to work at this salon. 500 is no problem. I'll do that. I don't care if I have to stay late or whatever I have to do, but we'll do that. So I didn't do any other negotiating with him. He said 500 bucks, you could sign a 2-year lease, or maybe it was year to year. Either way, um, he said, take it as is. I'm not gonna do anything for you. I'm not gonna put air conditioning. We're not gonna paint. We're not gonna do anything. You do all that. And I said, deal. I shook on it, signed the paper, and went from there.
And how did you get your second shop?
My second shop, so obviously you're familiar with externships, right? So people were coming to ask, guys were coming to ask at a barber school that were getting out of barber school if they could do their externship. And then you know, I can tell that if I had more room, I could fit more barbers. And my lease came up at that old shop. There was another building open that was just, I want to say 2 blocks down, but a little bigger on a little busier street. Still not far from the university. Um, it was just a little better opportunity. And she wanted, I want to say 1,200 bucks a month. My wife says 11. She's in front of me. She's a little camera shy, but she says 1,100 bucks a month. I think we ended up getting the first year for 900. And same thing, Chin. Filled up the stations. I had really cool guys that wanted to work there. All of us got along really good. They all did really good haircuts. Um, and we continued to build on that positive reputation that we already had in our community. I eventually raised the prices a little bit, and we just kept building, Chin, one step at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, staying consistent and being grateful for what you have, and being an honest businessman with whoever you deal with. And it all comes back to you, Chin.
And then you got the third shop, right?
Yes, sir.
How did you do
So
that?
it's kind of crazy because I remember when I got out of barber school, the shop I'm in now was a salon. It was probably one of the bigger salons in town. Their rent was too expensive for me. So instead of going to that first salon I ended up in, I kind of wanted to go to the other one. but the other one was too expensive for me to afford rent. But I really liked the building. You know, I wanted to be at that place. It just didn't work out for me when I first got out. Long story short, the people that owned that shop got busted for selling drugs, and they pretty much, you know, everything they had built, the shop and all that kind of just went to the wayside. The building became vacant. I believe that someone else rented it before me, but they didn't last very long. It was I want to say it was a law firm. They used it as a law firm before I got into it. And then it was completely empty. And I messaged the owner, and this was during COVID. This is the other thing that was pretty interesting to me, Chin, and I believe it was just God's covering and God's provision. I want to tell this story real quick, Chin.
We
So,
got plenty of time.
okay, so during COVID, we're at the old shop. My lease is coming up. It's almost to end. COVID happens, everything gets shut down. I cut this gentleman who owns probably one of the busiest restaurants in town, and he always treats me really good, tips me well. And well, I'm not supposed to be cutting hair in the shop anymore, but I got him in, kind of snuck him in. We did a haircut, and he passed me some money. It was more than he usually gives me. And and I kind of wanted to refuse at first. I was like, no, that's okay, you know, like just what you normally gives me is fine. He said, no, you're probably gonna need this. Well, I did need it, but I wasn't gonna be able to do too much with it. You know, if I'm not, I don't know how long we're gonna be shut down for. So, true story, I drove to my pastor's house, I knocked on his door, and I handed it to him. I said, Pastor, this is my tithe and my offering. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be giving anytime soon, any much more, whatever. But I really felt like if anybody could do something with it, it will be God. And I believe, you know, when you give, God provides. He meets the need. I really truly believe that. And the crazy thing is that that shop, the big shop that I couldn't afford to rent a booth at, became available. I remember negotiating on the phone with the owner. This is in the middle of COVID, so obviously he's probably thinking I might not be able to rent it to anybody. So he's kind of willing to take whatever he could get. He had it at, I want to say $1,500, and I got him down to $1,000. And I rented the shop where I could fit 13 chairs in it for $1,000 a month.
Mm.
And that was a risk. Obviously, that was a risk because we don't know when we're gonna open up again. But I told my wife, I'm not gonna be afraid. We're gonna go for it because this could really help us out. And it worked, Chin. I took the risk and it worked.
Now, Andrew, you said you met your wife in college.
I uh I met my wife before college, but we went to college together.
So where'd you tell us the story about when you first met your wife, lead up to how you got her?
Okay, so I was working at Dairy Queen, um, and she just walked in, asked for a chicken basket, placed her order, and I obviously I thought she was pretty cute, and she went and sat down. I didn't really say anything. Then she came back up and she asked for some ranch. And then I just I said hi. I just said hi. And that was it. She said hi. And I was hoping to spark conversation, but it didn't work out. I went back, got her ranch, gave it to her. She sat down, ate, and left. And then my nephew and her little brother are about the same age, and they were playing Little League Baseball at the same time. So I went to see my nephew play, and she went to see her brother play, and I was able to talk to her a little bit there. And then eventually I got her number, and you know the rest is history.
Okay.
15 years married, 2 kids, and three shops later, and now a school.
Now, how has it been working with your wife?
It's always been pretty good. I feel like we work well together. She has a very easygoing personality. Like she's not dramatic. She's not trying to fight. She's not trying to argue. Um, myself, before I met my wife, I had a girlfriend like in high school, and we are both very young and immature. And I learned a lot of what not to do in a relationship. I learned, you have to be honest. I learned not to be jealous. I learned not to let go of things. You got to let go of things, Chin. You can't keep bringing it up, bringing it up. And then the biggest difference is that literally one of the first things we started doing was going to church together. And she comes from a little different background, a little different. Basically, she was Catholic when I met her. I was going to a Christian center, and her parents were fine with her coming with me, so we would go. And I really believe witnessing and seeing couples that that were doing marriage the way God designed it, I really felt like that helped us so much. So how did it go working together? We went to school together, and I think it's a law you're not supposed to share stations, but at the school we went to, we shared stations. So her and I shared a station through school. Then when we opened and then she worked at this all girl lady salon um shop that I did for a few months before we opened our own. And then when we opened our own, she kind of had her own room. So it was me and my other friend who was a barber in like the main room. Then she had her own room. And then there was one more small room where the other lady worked. So that went pretty good. Then we had our first son, and I remember having to put his little swing connected to the door. And like I said, the shop was hot. He would be fussy, crying, wanting to either get changed or be fed. Jess is trying to cut hair. That's my wife's name, Jess. She's trying to cut hair. I'm cutting hair. Everybody's hot. Everybody's grumpy. The baby's crying. And
Mm.
it's kind of funny making me think about that. It gets me a little bit choked up because it's been a journey.
Mm-hmm. God is good though.
But the thing is, Chin, is like she's always been an awesome teammate, and she supported me. I've supported her. um we decided at a certain point that she was going to kind of lay off of work, and she was going to spend a lot of time pretty much raising the kids. We never really had to do like a babysitter or a daycare or anything like that. And it was somewhat of a financial sacrifice, but it was all the worth it because those are the best years that you're going to have with the kids, them growing up, them being small. And right now it's a little bit of a hard time for us because this is the first year we're going to send them to public school because I really do need her at the school with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is a life change for us, but I think that God is going to provide the same covering he always has. So that's where we're at.
Now, what made you want to open up a school? When did you start thinking about the school? Because you had these successful shops. Tell us about that when you first started thinking about opening a school.
That's a good question, Chan, because one thing that kept me motivated about actually going through with it is I really believe that somewhere along the line, God put that into my heart because I have clients that told me when I was at that first little white shop, there's a huge building right across the street from that white shop. It used to be a J.C. Penney's, and then it turned into a Bow's. I don't know if you have a Bow's in your hometown, but basically it's another clothing store. Well, that building is completely vacant right now, and it's been since 2015 when I opened my shop. And I have a client that told me just recently, I remember you talking about opening a school, but you said you were going to do it at that Bow's building across from your first shop. And I believe him. I just don't remember saying that. Um, but I think the desire or the idea came into my mind when I was sitting in my barber school. I was the first barber student at that school because up until my time there, they were strictly cosmetology. It's a community college, but they only had cosmetology teachers and they only offered cosmetology license. So when I got there, I was already, I already kind of had an idea how to cut hair. I didn't know how to use scissors, but I was excited to learn all these things. I wanted to learn designs. I wanted to learn like mostly designs, but I wanted to learn like how to do, for some reason, I remember wanting to learn how to do a pompadour. I wanted to learn how to style men's hair. Like I wanted to take it to the next level, but they weren't really ready to teach me that stuff because for so long, they were just cosmetology, cosmetology. I even remember having to call state board myself at the end of my program and say, "Hey, they're not letting me use a straight blade because they're saying it's against the rules for me to use a straight blade in school." And um I'm not bashing them. I'm not going to say names, but I love my teachers that helped me there. I still message them and I tell you thank you for being my teacher and giving me your best. They're super supportive of me opening a school. They're always like, one particular teacher texts me and tells me, "I'm so proud of you guys. You guys were good students and always showing support." So I'm not bashing them. I'm just saying they were cosmetology. And I think maybe that's where my interest in opening my own barber school someday started. Like once I get to a point where I want to be, I want to take it to that next level. And at some point, I got so busy and so preoccupied with making the shop into what it is now that I kind of lost focus on the dream of a school until recently. Well, not that recent, Chin. I was looking at our message. I've been texting you since October of 2022.
Mm. So when did the dream, when did the fire come back alive about opening a school?
Um, so I think as we started to grow, we're in this big shop, right? And I'm getting these barbers coming from that same school. 12 out of those 13 people are from that school in my shop. And I'm getting these guys and they're basically getting on the job training. They're getting out of school with their license, they're passing their tests, but then they're getting in their shop and they're not all of them aren't necessarily shop ready. Some of them are, but a lot of them need a little bit more help. They need a little bit more coaching, and I'm more than happy to do that. Because one, they're helping build the reputation of the shop, but two, it's always just been it feels good for me to be able to show somebody and teach somebody. So I think doing that so much just kind of reignited it. But also, Chin, if the math is correct, and I started, messing with the clippers since I was 16, maybe 17 years old, and I'm 35 now, that's a long time to be cutting hair. And I just felt like I was already to a point where I need to get out from behind the chair. I still love cutting. I cut hair on Monday still, but I need to get out from being a full-time barber and I need to be able to do something a little less taxing on the body, something that gets me excited again about the industry. And not to mention what kind of financial freedom it'll bring later on down the road.
Okay, so now you're thinking about the school. Did you do any kind of research? I mean, what were you doing when you started thinking back about the school?
I remember at one time before I found you online, Chin, I kind of typed it in or did some kind of search and there wasn't really very much information. There wasn't very much help out there. Like even state board, you can email them and you can ask them questions, but they're not extremely helpful sometimes. And it wasn't until I came across you. I want to say I found you first on Instagram. And I think you had a video up of you cruising with like a toupee on. Is that right?
Yeah.
And some people might call that clickbait, but it works, Chin. But I tapped into that. Maybe the algorithm knew, or something that I wanted to learn how to open a barber school. I checked out your YouTube. I started seeing you doing interviews like we're doing right now, and I started to like really like, okay, Chin's for real. He's really making this happen. He's really helping people, and and I messaged you. You message back right away. You call you if I call you, you answer. And those things are important and they mean a lot. And to you, it might be like, oh, no big deal. No problem, Andrew, call me anytime. You always say, oh no, Andrew, call me anytime. You always say that. But I still feel like I don't want to bother you. So I try to only call you when it's something I absolutely can't figure out on my own.
So when you were thinking about um joining the program, tell us about that. Because I remember back then you said you was a little nervous.
Super nervous, Chin. Our first day of barber school was last Tuesday. I was so nervous. I couldn't sleep the night before and I couldn't eat that whole day. And the students showed up and my stomach was twisted. I was so nervous, like, but by the end of the day, it felt so good. But yeah, getting back to joining the program, um, I didn't have, I paid you on my credit card. And
You didn't even have your instructor's license either.
no, I didn't have my instructor's license, but I just figured, if I actually make that first investment of money that was kind of like a little bit of a sacrifice, um, I knew that I was gonna buckle down, get serious, and really, really try to do what it takes. And I knew that that starter pack that I got from you, was exactly what I needed. Because sometimes the hardest part is just getting started. Sometimes the hardest part is just making that first step. And after that, it got me a little motivated. I started watching your videos more. I started hearing different testimonies, and I went ahead and I applied for my to take my instructor exam. I bought the book. I studied on my own. I read it, and I went and I took the test, and thankfully I passed on the first shot. Because I think if you don't pass here in New Mexico on your first shot, you have to go through the 1,000-hour course.
Mm-hmm. So when you were watching those videos and you finally decided to join, did you have any doubt that the program would work or any doubts on me?
Um, by that time, I kind of already had made up my mind that you were a pretty legitimate person, a pretty straight up person, just from seeing different videos and stuff. So if there was doubt, it was more on myself. Like, can I really do this? Can I really accomplish this? But like you ask all the time, if you don't try and you don't do it, where are you going to be in the next 5 years? And really, if I failed, if I was going to fail, I was just going to be in the same situation I'm in anyway. I'm still going to be at the shop. A shop owner is great. I love it. I really appreciate the guys that work there. I appreciate my clients who have supported me for this many years. But you do, at some point, if it's haircut after haircut, year after year, day after day, you can get burnt out. And I'm trying to think 10 years from now when I'm 45 years old, am I still going to be able to keep up this pace? Am I still going to be able to provide for my family? Am I still going to be able to do this and that? And the answer to me was probably not. I might have to go do something else, but there's not really anything else that I want to be doing other than, the barber industry.
So when you got ready to do the school, okay, you joined the program. Tell us about the building. You find the building, you sign your lease. Walk us through that journey because there's people on here right now who are scared, who
Yeah,
are nervous. Even when we talk, I remember you telling me in one of the text messages, I'm a little nervous, but excited at the same time.
yeah. You have a good memory, Chin.
No, I don't. I don't have a good memory. Guess what? I'm reading the text messages on my phone.
Okay, Chin, here's the other thing that I gotta give credit to God for. Like, absolutely, like I said, it's just his provision and his covering, because the shop that we're in right now, the barber shop, it's really one huge building cut in half. And the other half was it's so it's not exactly half. The other side's a little bigger. My side's a little smaller. But the other side, it was a retail like basically like the lady that owned it, her husband made art, so they would sell a little bit of his stuff along with other things that they would wholesale or whatever. Well, unfortunately, the lady that owned it got sick. Um, and she ended up being too sick to be able to continue running her shop. So her and her husband packed up and they moved out of state. And the landlord, my landlord, owns both sides. It's one building. And as soon as I seen them packing up, as soon as I seen the U-Haul drive up in the back, I texted the landlord and I said, if next door becomes available, I would really love I would love an opportunity to sit down and work out some kind of agreement with you. Because the reality is here in our town, business isn't necessarily booming. On the street that I'm on, it's called Bridge Street. It's a historic neighborhood. It's kind of like it's kind of old. The buildings are older. Some of them are restored and renovated, which is the building we're in right now. It's been restored really nicely. Um, I messaged her, and so I think in her mind, she's seen three other businesses around the neighborhood closing. These people are moving out, so she's probably more than willing to get a renter in there smoothly. Like these people are leaving, I'm coming in. Um, so we talked. She came, she sat down with me, and at this time, I'm already watching your videos. I'm already talking to you. I'm pretty sure I already bought the program, and one thing you say is negotiate rent, negotiate a couple months, 3 months, whatever you can get. Sure enough, that's exactly what I did. I said, Amy, I need at least 3 months. If you give me 3 months where I can start to buy my equipment and fill up the building with equipment, start to advertise, try to get students, so on and so on. Um, I I'll sign the lease. Well, she already knows I'm a good renter because I've never missed a payment on rent. We've never been like any more than a couple days late. And usually we're never late on anything. Always pay the bills, everything. So she worked with us right away, no problem. She worked with us. Um the building didn't need anything, Chin. I did some painting because I didn't really care for the colors. The crazy thing is, and I kind of made a joke about it, like God knew I was gonna be in there because it was a retail store, right? But for some reason, there's outlets every 6 feet on both walls. So it was like set up perfectly for me to set up my stations for the students. Um, it had a little corner spot that said office on it. As you know, that's a state board requirement to have an office. There's another little room that was perfect for a wax, facial, hot towel shaving room, whatever you want to do in there. There was a storage, there was a bathroom, there's a full kitchen, Chin. There's a sink, dishwasher, cabinets, a stove. Well, they took the stove. There's no stove now. There's a fridge, microwave. There's an upstairs. Um, there's another room where if I decide to offer a nail tech certification, I'm gonna bring one of the nail techs from our shop. She's gonna get her instructor license. She'll help me teaching in that. I literally have more room than I can handle right now, Chin.
God is good.
God is good. I'm not even no exaggeration on that. Um, I have so many different, stories that I would like to get on the phone and just tell you because I feel like it would be an encouragement to you. But
Hey,
every step of the way, it's been God.
and what about the paperwork, the application? Can you tell them how that went with everything?
So the application, it was a little bit of a it was a little bit of a struggle with that. Just because like I said, state board isn't exactly responsive sometimes, and when they do get back to you via email, the answer sometimes is vague. It's not very straightforward. And so one thing that held us up, Chin, excuse me a second. One thing that held us up was they kept asking me for a surety bond, and I think I remember messaging about that. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go get a surety bond. I went to my insurance place. Yeah, they said, no problem, we'll get your surety bond. It was going to be for 5,000. They said, this is the standard. This is what basically we're getting back. You only need 5,000. So I met email state board, and I say, okay, I could get one for 5,000. Well, the lady that's responding to me, she says that's not enough. And I said, well, I don't know why it's not. I don't, everybody that is telling me that's enough, because I had tried other surety bond places as well just to make sure. And she said, you need enough money to indemnify your students if anything was to happen to your school, if it was to close. And I'm telling her, I understand that, but right now I have 0 students, and I don't know if I'm gonna have 1 student or 2 or 10. I can fit up to 12 in my spot, but right now I have none. And she would not give me a direct answer. She would not. It literally 3 months, it was about 3 months that I stayed trying to figure this out. And I was getting frustrated, and I felt like maybe I'm just gonna, this is not gonna happen. And eventually, I know it sounds crazy, 3 months later, my she sent that up to someone above her, and that person called me. And the same day she called me, she said, no, 5,000 is exactly what you need. She got that done. That was pretty much one of the only things lacking on my application. Because as you know, the application is a checklist of like 20 some different items, right? And I was able to get that finally done.
And how much
So
was the $5,000 surety bond? How much money did you have to pay out of pocket for that?
I want to say it was a couple $100,
Right.
maybe
I
a
want,
hundred.
because some people on here think that you had to pay 5,000 cash. So I want them to know that it's not like that.
No, it's not like that. It's kind of like just insurance, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you could get, whatever, a $500,000 insurance policy, but you're not paying that.
Right.
Um, the other thing, Chin, the catalog, that was it, we wouldn't have been able to do it without you helping us. But my wife, she went in there and she edited it and she made it down to the T to where hopefully it'll satisfy NACAs when we get to that point.
Yeah, well. Did the paperwork help you?
Everything you sent, Chin, we used. Everything you sent, it helped. It helped. Like I said, I don't believe we would have wasted a lot of time trying to figure that out. We would have probably not even been open, I would say, yet. And if we did open, maybe we wouldn't be doing things 100% correctly.
So you submitted your paperwork. Okay, you got to tell us about them coming out to inspect the building. Tell us about that day.
So right now, State Board hasn't come out to inspect us yet. We've only been open since last Tuesday, so we've been open a week and a day. They say it could be up to 90 days before they come out and inspect us. But the fire department inspected us,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a firefighter for 2.5 years, and so I already kind of knew what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that part-time and cutting hair. Well, firefighting is interesting because you do 2 days straight, you do 48-hour shifts, and then I would get out and I would cut hair, and I did that for a while. But basically, for those people who have never had to go through an inspection opening a building, you're gonna need, your basic stuff. You could get a list from your fire department, and they'll tell you need fire extinguishers here and there. You'll need, of course, your exit signs. Um, you can't have like any holes in your walls. You can't have like things running off extension cords. Um, just very easy things that you can do.
Now, when you got approved for your license, how did that make you feel?
For my
School.
school license, man, that was a relief. It was it was a pretty happy day, I think. I probably got a little choked up when they finally sent the email and said that it was all approved, everything was good to go. I was almost in disbelief because we stayed waiting for a while. Like I stayed, there was a point when I thought it wasn't going to work out, like I said, with that surety bond. And then just with how it is dealing with state board sometimes. And my wife was super excited. I was happy. I remember posting, sharing to my Instagram that we finally got approved. And the people that are really rooting for you, that really want to see you do well, um, they'll call you, they'll text you, tell you congratulations. They're there for you. They've been there for you since day one, since you opened your first little rinky dink shop, and they're with you all the way through here. So nothing but appreciation and gratitude. That's pretty much that was the feeling that I felt the most.
And you started, you started better than me. You beat me. You started with 3 students. I had 0 for months. How did you get these 3 students?
Chin, I gotta tell you, today we enrolled one more, so we're up to 5, and tomorrow we have another one coming in to see about possibly enrolling in the crossover program. So how I got these students beats me. Um, one I because I Chin, I haven't really done any advertising yet. I've done some social media on my Instagram, which is my barbershop Instagram, a little bit on Facebook. I posted to the community page. And so, oh, and then we did a little outreach for a light parade. We made some flyers and we handed them out. And I don't know if we got anybody from that. I don't think so. But so my first students, this is a crazy story, Chin. I gotta share this one. Okay, so one of the students, he's one of my clients from the barbershop. Um, I guess he had been not really too sure where he wanted to go. He's 22 right now, and he kind of wasn't too sure what he wanted to do next in life. And so his mom is a cosmetologist, his sister's a cosmetologist, and it's always been in the back of his mind. When he found out I was opening the school, he told me, "Hey, I'd be interested." And I was like, "Cool, I'll let you know. I'll let you know when we get closer." And he was serious. He signed up. But not only did he sign up, his nephew, who is 18 years old, just finished high school, signed up with him. So you know how I said his sister is a cosmetologist? Well, his nephew, that's his nephew's mom, the sister that's a cosmetologist. So those two enrolled. And then this is the other crazy thing why I say God every step of the way. I used to cut this baseball player from the community college when I was in school. And he went to the same community college where he was playing baseball. He would come onto the clinic floor. I'd come cut him for like $2. And we would always talk, and we became friends. He finished school, he went back home. We stayed kind of connected through social media. So he's seen how things have progressed from cutting him at Luna to now the shop that we have. So he calls me and he's like, "Drew, I wanted to ask you something." He has a good job at this point. He's living down south. He has a good job at an oil rig, a oil company. And he says, "I'm thinking about quitting my job and going to barber school." Well, he hadn't been on social media, so he didn't know I was opening a barber school. He had no idea. And I said, "Kane, did you know I'm opening a barber school? Like, or this was just coincidence?" He's all, "You're opening a barber school?" I said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Close, man. We're like close to opening the doors." And so he literally, Chin, he sold his house. He's like 5, 6 hours away from Las Vegas where I'm living. He sold his house. He moved to Santa Rosa, which is 1 hour away from my hometown, because his wife has family in Santa Rosa. He's living in Santa Rosa and he's commuting to my barber school every morning, and he's the first one there. We go to school from 8 to 4. He's usually there by 7:15. He beats me to the school.
Hmm.
And like I said, my barber shop is the same building, separated by a wall and door to my barber school. He walks into the barber shop because some barbers are already cutting, opens the door to the barber school, and he'll turn on the lights, he'll start making coffee,
Hmm.
he'll be ready. And he's not the only one that has that team team player mentality. All the guys that are there right now, I couldn't ask for a better group of guys. I want to give them a little shout out. So Mike Archuleta, Isaac Sanchez, Brandon Martinez, and Kane Fierro. Those guys, I want to thank them too. I didn't thank them in the beginning, but
Who was
without
that?
huh?
Repeat that names again.
Mike Archuleta, Isaac Sanchez, Brandon Martinez, and Kane Fierro. They're my first four students. Oh wait, I'm missing one, and Ernie Trujillo. I almost forgot Ernie, and I want to tell a story about Ernie. Um, he used to come to my first shop on 8th Street, but he used to go to my buddy Mike, who was the other barber who started working with me, the one that I told you in school. He told me, if you ever open a shop, I'm gonna work with you. He that's one of his best friends. Mike and Ernie are like pretty close friends. Ernie started coming, getting his haircut with him. I think he eventually moved out of town for a while, but then he ended up coming back to Vegas. And he heard about the barber shop, about me opening a barber school. He messaged me on Facebook. I messaged him back. He came in, talked to me, and he was there at that first orientation day. Three of them were at the first orientation day, and then I did orientation with Kane a day later, and then I did orientation with Brandon yesterday.
Hmm.
So 5 students that I really didn't have to go out there and try and convince or get or nothing.
Um,
But
go ahead.
but I do want to start to, put some ads on the radio, put some ads in the paper. I want to start going to the high schools. I want to start doing more posting on social media, Facebook, all that stuff. I just never really been good at that. If you look at my Instagram, my Straight Blade Barbershop, um, I only have like 1,200 followers. I've never been very active,
You said
but
Straight Blade Barbershop.
yeah.
Okay. Um, that first day with them three students, tell us about it.
That first day,
Well, the night before, start the night before, because it's always good.
okay, so I'll start with the week before, Chin. Everything wasn't ready at the shop. So I'm cutting hair still. Still, I'm still doing like 9 to 5 at the barber shop, or like 9 to 4, some days 9 to 3. Um, but I would finish cutting hair and I would walk through that door into the school and I would start getting things ready, like more things. I did mention I didn't have to do pretty much anything to the building, but we did do a little bit of painting. Um, we did My wife is pretty good at making like shirts using a Cricut and a heat press, but she also has another vinyl cutter where you can cut out these big signs to put on the windows. So we were doing that. We're trying to get our office situated. Um, trying to get familiar with the SEMA program. So we're doing the SEMA program as well as using a hard copy book. Just odds and ends. So we would stay there kind of late, get home late, and then finally the night before comes, and I was super nervous, like I said, and I told my wife we're too far in to turn back now, because we had already had, I think, two of the students had already put their down payment, and I was like, there's no turning back now, baby.
Hmm.
We're We're going for it. I couldn't sleep because I'm thinking of how am I going to make this class interesting? I don't want them to be bored. I don't want them to just walk in and, okay, let's start reading. All of us, early morning, tired, not really that enthusiastic about doing book work. But um, the guys, I did a little icebreaker with them the first day, the first hour, and I asked them what their expectations of the school were, what they were excited to learn, what they were nervous about. And one of the main reasons I asked them what they were nervous was about was so that way I could share what I was nervous about. And it was kind of funny because none of them said that they were nervous about anything. So I told them when it was my turn, I was like, you guys are way more brave than me because you have nothing to be nervous about, and I'm super nervous right now. But it went good. We started reading the book together. We started doing some review questions. We did it as a group. We got through the whole first chapter. They took their chapter exam. The net after they came back from lunch, I started showing them some hands-on stuff. And like we can't work on the public obviously, but I could still show them just simple things, how to hold a razor the proper way, how to hold scissors, how to mix barber side, like how to the proper ratio, 32 to 2. Then I showed them now they make these little mods, they're called mods, where you put 32 ounces of water and you just drop that little thing. It looks like a little Tide Pod. You drop it in the water and mix that up. So, they're learning that. I showed them how to do a client consultation, like proper barber etiquette, how to basically, you know, have that first consultation with your clients. We went over barbershop etiquette. And then it makes it easy because everything is so brand new. They're so excited that they're asking questions and questions and questions, and it makes it for an interesting day.
Hmm. So after that day, can you tell us about that?
After that day, I felt so much better. I went home. Um, as we're backing out of the parking, I'm in the vehicle with my wife, and I was like, we really did it, babe. We really opened the school, like for real, for real. And I felt way better. I felt a sense of peace. I felt like everything was going to be okay. I have Jess with me, and she's like it's crazy because she's like really good at the things that I'm not, and I'm good at the things that she's not. So she's not really into like doing demonstrations and public speaking and like all that, but she's really good at like since she homeschooled our kids for the last 5 years, she was really good at getting the curriculum together and getting like having a lesson plan for the day figured out and and like navigating the SEMA program and doing the office stuff. Like she's probably the main reason, other than the stuff you sent us and the help you gave us, you were really sending that to her, Chin, because she really pretty much dealt with all that. I
Hmm.
tell her I had this crazy dream when I had to open a school. I shared it with her and she set it on fire. And so the day after that, I mean that right after that first day, I felt okay. I felt good. I knew that I had a good support system. I have you whenever I need to call you. I have my wife by my side the whole step of the way. And most importantly, God, we have God. He's never left our side. And he's making it work.
Um, so when you would call me, what would you be thinking every time you would call?
Um, I just thought it was really cool that I knew pretty much 100% you were going to answer the phone. Like you don't need to be answering the phone, Chin. I'm sure you're not millionaire barber for no reason, and usually millionaires are pretty busy. Um and I believe 100% that you're a multimillionaire. And so to be dealing with these small guys, you got bigger fish to fry, but no, that's not the case. You're super down to earth, humble. Um, your story, your story is it's encouraging because to say that you went to prison and you did this, that to being making such a success out of your life. God is the God of restoration. God is the God of forgiveness, and I know you've experienced that firsthand. And so when I call you, again, just thankful that you answer. I don't even think that you're gonna ignore me or whatever. And if I've ever text you, maybe it'll take you a couple minutes or a few minutes or whatever to get back to me, but you've always gotten back to me. And that makes me feel a little bit better about everything that's happening, you know?
Well, if y'all don't call me, Andrew, I won't have nothing to do. 'Cause I'm just at home with my mama, 80-year-old lady. So I don't have a lot to do. So when y'all call me, China, Reba, I talked to Doug today about SEO. When Janice calls, a lot of y'all are called. Karen, Kanisha, Jerome, Kai out of Atlanta. So Lawan, I talked to her. So when y'all call, Amina, I talk to her all the time. Um, Pam, Paris, I'm glad when y'all call because that's what I'm here for. If I didn't want y'all calling me, Sharonda, Savanja, I wouldn't have give y'all my number. That's the only phone number I got. My mama got the same number as y'all.
That's
So
great.
I want all of you all to do it. Now, tell everybody where you located.
I'm in a small town, the original Las Vegas, New Mexico, not Las Vegas, Nevada. Population here is like 14,000. Um, it's not exactly a thriving community, but it's my hometown. And it's northern New Mexico, so we border Texas, we border Colorado. Um, so a lot of people are like, are you guys Mexico? Are you guys part of the United States? But no, we're part of the 50 states and we're here.
Hmm.
But there's a Highlands University. That's like a regular university. That's the one I told you I attended for a little bit, didn't do so well. And then there's Luna Community College, and that's where I got my barber license. And then we have two high schools, and we have a Walmart and a little shopping center and a state hospital. So it's not a very big community. We don't have very much going on. So I think no, I know that I'm the only like private barber school in the town, and I'm one of just a few in northern New Mexico. The ones that you pulled up on Nacas, I believe maybe there was a couple like in Rio Rancho and Albuquerque, but the other ones are probably down south.
Now, when you became the school owner and everybody started finding out,
It's your turn,
what was
just
that like?
Um, it, I mean, I guess people are still kind of finding out, but for the most part, you get some people. So for example, like I said, I posted on the community page that has like 16,000 people on there or 16,000 members. And there was a lot of shares, a lot of likes, a lot of comments. They're happy to see that happening going on in the community. A lot of people are very supportive. But then, like anything else, there's also people who are like kind of like maybe not expecting it to work out, but we really don't pay attention to much of that.
Hmm.
So for the most part, the family is supporting you, but everybody has their own things to take care of, like, and we don't expect much of anything from anyone, not because we don't think that they care or want to help, but just because we know that they have their own busy life to handle. But I want to introduce you to my wife, Chen. She's sitting here quiet. She's shaking her head no, like she doesn't want to get on camera, but she has to.
Yeah, because they need to see the mastermind. We know you didn't do it, Andrew.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I'm gonna scoot over here a little bit. Let's see. Let's see if I could get her in the focus of the camera.
Yeah, we got to see Jess. We got to see the mastermind.
hi guys.
Hey,
How are you?
great. So, Jess, what you got to say about Andrew?
He's a good guy. I mean, he's very I guess ambitious would be the word. He just goes for it. If he has an idea or a plan, he goes for it.
So, what was you thinking when he said he wanted to open a school?
Um, I knew it was probably coming. He's talked about it for a while. But I'm there to support him and back him up. all the way, you know.
Okay. Um, Now, you remember when you was at the Dairy Queen? Do you remember meeting him when he gave you that ranch dressing?
I do remember the day, yeah, I do.
I wasn't probably that memorable. I was in my Dairy Queen outfit. I probably had a little polo like this with a little Dairy Queen sign. But I thought I was doing all right. I was the manager at least. And Chin, I want to share this. Like when we started to be friends and then started a date or whatever, I asked Jess to marry me with this little tiny ring. And I tell everyone it looked like it had a grain of salt on it because that's how nice it was, you know? It's just a little baby ring. And I still have never told her where I got it because I was embarrassed. I'm embarrassed of how I got it and where I got it, but it's all I could do for now. And I'm like, I promise I'll upgrade you in 5 years. And we did. We upgraded her a little bit. It's not anything too crazy, but
Well,
it's
that's
better
good.
than a grain of salt.
Well, now tell us about your children. You got 3 children.
Too.
2.
Hmm.
What's their names?
Adam and Aubrey.
Adam and Aubrey. So you got a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
Perfect family.
I think we need one more, but I don't have to carry the baby for 9 months, so I don't have much to say in that. But
um,
but yeah, people say the word perfect, and we think perfect means without flaw, without mistake, but really the biblical meaning of perfect is just complete. And when you say perfect family, we are complete. If I never have another baby, I'm more than complete in my heart. I'm full. And so you're right, Chin, it is perfect.
Now, how did you come to Christ and all that? Because see, I grew up in the church. My grandmama, we had to go to church since I was a baby. And then my mom ended up marrying a preacher. So I've been in church all my life. Although, of course, I was a cocaine dealer and did a lot of bad stuff. But how did you get with God, Christ?
Um, Basically, my testimony is this, Chin. I told you I kind of grew up in a broken home. And I knew that I was kind of already going down the same path as my mom and dad. I never got into any kind of heavy drugs or anything like that. I partied like most high schoolers do. I smoked weed sometimes, and but every time I would find myself doing that stuff, there was always a feeling in the back of my mind like I was headed down the wrong path. And eventually it came to the point I was 17 years old. I was out late at night. I had got a call. I missed the call, and it was a voicemail, and it was from a guy that I had class with. I guess you could call us friends, but more like acquaintance. But anyways, he had told me about this guy that wanted to fight for a while. So every time I would see this guy, we would talk back and forth, and we never ended up really fighting. Well, my friend, so he calls me, he leaves me a voicemail. So and so is here. He said he's going to shoot you on sight. And me being just, young, immature, and whatever, I I called him back. He said he's still here. They were at Pizza Hut. I drove to Pizza Hut, and the guy came out and he had a little 22 revolver and he pulled it out and he shot at me. It misfired the first one. He didn't have a bullet in the first. It was a revolver, so he didn't have a bullet in the first little hole or whatever it is. Pulled the trigger again. That one hit me point blank, pretty much right in my cheekbone, and it's still to this day. I have an X-ray. You could see the in the X-ray. You could see the 22 bullet fragment in my cheekbone. He shot at me again, hit me in my arm. And if you know anything about the 22s, they kind of ricochet. They're not a very big caliber, obviously, but they're
Oh,
dangerous because they ricochet. And so that one went through my arm and kind of came out like the side of my back, I guess. And I ended up driving myself to my friend's house. I didn't even go to the hospital. I drove to my friend's house. I'm bleeding. I have blood all the way down to my from my head to down to my shoes. And he ends up like, hey, we gotta go to the hospital. We gotta go to the hospital. So we went. And at that time my mom was trying to get sober, but so she wasn't living in town. I called her on the phone. My little sister was with her. They're in another town. My mom's staying with I guess her boyfriend kind of. And I tell her, Mom, I just got shot. I'm okay. She broke down hysterical, started crying. My little sister, I could hear her in the background on the phone crying. And right there, I just had this like thought in my mind. Not only am I going down the same path, the wrong path, but I'm also kind of being that example to my little sister. And yeah, I didn't want to do that. So I remember, I stayed in the hospital for one night because there was really nothing they could do. They couldn't take this out, and the one in my arm had already exited on its own. I didn't have any major damage. Nothing was serious. Like it was a miracle. It was God giving me a second chance. I believe it was by his grace. So I remember eventually my mom came back home, and I remember just praying and saying, God, like there was a time in my life where I didn't believe God even existed anymore. And then I went through a time in my life where I was like, if he is there, he doesn't love me and I don't love him. And then I finally came to a time when I was like, God, I need you. Like I need something if you're real. And not long after that, this girl that I went to school with, her dad is the pastor here. And I remember seeing her at Taco Bell, and she's like, she knew me from high school. She knew how I was and, kind of what I was into. And she just kind of put that invitation out there in a way that was kind of more like a challenge. She's like, I dare you to go to church. I dare you if you're not scared. And I was like, I'll show up to church. It's like no big deal, whatever. I went, and the preaching that day was so powerful. It was I can't tell you, Chin, right now what the preaching was about, but I knew that it touched my heart so real that I had to go back. And then they had these Saturday night concerts, and they invited me to one of those, and I showed up to one of those, and it was cool. I liked it, so I started going to the concerts, and then before you know it, I was just full on like saved. I had given up what I thought was sin. I didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't fornicate, didn't do this and that. I started to get involved in ministry. Eventually I started doing concerts and started wrapping up the concerts. I started helping with the youth group, the Bible study for the youth group, started helping with the Bible study for the college group. Um, and then, you know, me and Jess are in church. We're getting into all this stuff together, and we're still at the same church. I'm not as involved in ministry as I used to be or want to be. And I can't use how busy I am with the school as an excuse, but that really is part of what it is. But what my plan is now that we got the school running pretty good, I'm gonna teach class in the day, and then I'm gonna bring it up to Pastor Ray and ask him, hey, what do you think about doing like a Bible study at the school in the evenings on a certain day? So I might have went off a little bit, but that's pretty much how we ended up coming to Christ.
Oh, wow. I just, well, um, Reba said you're a living testimony.
Tell her thank you very much, and like I said, I just appreciate everyone that's on here because I remember just being on here watching other people talk about opening a school, and they were such an encouragement. I watched the guy that you just had on, I forgot his name, but he was the ex-NFL player. That guy is so humble and down to earth. If you
Tyler,
ever if you ever talk to him again, tell him that he was an encouragement, that I say hello.
I'm gonna connect you with him.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
forgot what team he played for, but oh, he
Tampa
was on
Bay.
the Packers, huh?
Yeah, Packers, Tampa. I mean, yeah, Packers, Green Bay Packers.
And you know how it is, automatically it sparks your curiosity. So I typed him in and checked it out. Sure enough, he has highlights with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. I was like, dang, that's cool.
Yeah, and he's a believer. He's
And
into deep into the church.
I watched his whole interview, and you would never think that guy, like he's just so, like I said, humble, down to earth. he's definitely pointing people to Christ, and that to me, that's powerful. Those are the kind of people that I can look up to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great guy. We got a lot of good people in our program.
I
Um,
agree.
what else you want to share with them? Because it's your interview, your day.
Uh, Let me think. All I'll say is God is faithful. Keep praying, keep believing. Sometimes your timing and God's timing don't match up, so don't get discouraged. Like, um, I'm way later than I wanted to be as far as opening the school, but it's not late, it's just the right time. I think everything found a place the right way, but at the same time, don't procrastinate and don't let laziness kill your dream. Don't let fear kill your dream either, because Chin, I know the day will come where we'll be accredited, but right now I'm just enjoying the process. I'm happy with where we're at. I have the lowest private school tuition in the whole state other than the community college. And maybe it's a little embarrassing to share, but I'm only charging 7 grand plus tax plus books. And
It's good. When I started, I was the cheapest probably barber school in the whole United States. A couple of $1,000s.
right, so to me it was more like I know what the formula was for the barbershop. It was do the most for the least amount. And maybe I'm undercutting myself a little bit, but I'm trying to give these not kids, they're men. I'm trying to give these men a better education than they would pay at the one an hour up the street in Santa Fe in another town where they're gonna pay 20 grand. I'm trying to give them better education than that for 7. Yep, that's my barbershop profile. That's my daughter right there sitting on the thing at the property, and I just thought it was so cute because I don't know what she's thinking or what she's writing or drawing, but she's in her own world.
So,
These are the students right here, that first one.
so that's Mike and Brandon and King and Isaac and Ernie. Well,
Yeah.
somebody's missing.
Brandon is missing because he hadn't enrolled yet.
Okay. So you cut straight hair
I cut curly hair, straight hair, wavy hair.
and you can use
Um,
the razor.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why I named my barbershop Straight Blade
Right.
Barbershop, because that's really what sets a barber apart from a Cosmo is the straight blade.
Yeah, I'm scared of straight hair and I'm scared of razors. I never learned how to do that.
I can teach you in a day, Chin. Right
Well,
here, that's my son, that one with the pink shirt or orange shirt. And yeah, that's my little guy right there. I love that kid. Um
just tell me what pictures to click on. I'm just scrolling. And
right, look right there where you see half of my face. That's my son learning to cut my hair.
then
And I figure by the time he's 12, he maybe even 10, he should be able to do a full haircut.
mm,
And then let's see, there's the blueprint. That was the early stages of the school, that one with the stations. There's the blueprint for the Barber Academy. So that's how my school is set up.
okay. Oh,
Um,
you got a big school. How many square feet is that?
if you go to that other picture, watch back out of that one, and then go to the blueprint, I think the square footage is on there. So I think if you right there at the bottom corner, it might say, but it's maybe 2,300 square feet.
Oh, okay. You got nice hardwood floors.
Mm-hmm. Those braids right there, Jess did those braids.
These,
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to hold on. Computer I got stuck. For some reason, it's not moving. Hold on. Let's get back on now. It's like Instagram is stuck.
Yeah, that's how it is sometimes.
Hmm. Um, okay.
There you go. So there's Jess, and she gets camera shy. Look at her right away. But like you know what else encouraged me, Chin, is when you always say, I don't even know how to cut straight hair. I don't know how to use the blade. So when I was thinking about opening the school, I was thinking like there's a lot of things I don't even know how to do. But um
You know how
the
to do more than me
well, the cool thing, there's Mike right there. See, he's one of my clients. Right
here.
above the hat. No, right above the hat.
Oh, here.
Yeah, he was one of my clients at that time, but now he's a barber student.
Yeah, y'all do some good work. Look at them haircuts.
That guy, he's such a cool guy. He works at the local bank. Um, and he's always giving us a shout out. That was a little light parade where we handed out flyers.
Uh,
Right a little bit further down. There's my son again in the blue shirt. Um, just a little bit of everything. I think there's one where I did some curly hair. That video is kind of cool.
which one?
He's the kid right here next to the skeleton.
Oh, okay, here.
Uh-huh. Let's see if it goes through the video, but I had to pick him out. He's always a little tangled. Um, so I kind of like I didn't wash it that day. I should have washed it right away, but to the video it shows kind of the progress, and then in the little comment thing there, I just talking about how I want to share what I know with other people, but
Mhm.
it speeds up pretty quick. Watch.
Oh, you can do shell over comb.
Oh yeah, shear over comb, clipper over comb.
I never did that. I can't do that. I used to use guards.
Um, well, I still use guards too, but you gotta. When I say I love the barber industry, I really do. I really do love trying to perfect my craft, and I still want to get so much better. I see some guys out there that are just phenomenal, and I want to get to that level.
Yeah,
But
it looked
this,
good. Nice edge up.
yeah, I try to keep it natural, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's Tyree in the background. I want to give him a shout out too. He's been with me since for a good while now, and he's definitely a master barber. He mastered his craft.
Hmm. You can just tell me when to stop.
Um, let's see. Right there, you see that picture where I'm styling my son's hair in the black and white photo?
Oh yeah.
That's our second shop. So that was the second shop we were in that I think we had 6 people in that shop. And my son's just being goofy like he always is. Um, we coach my son's little league team. We've been in the championship 3 years straight and we won 2. And this last year we went undefeated, 15-0. And that was last year, but this year we the championship was almost the same score as that one on the scoreboard there. And
Mm.
there's my wife there helping and my nephew right next to me. So that my nephew right there, his dad is the one that came back from the military and gave me a lineup. His dad is a black dude, and that's why he introduced me to the lineup, because no one here was getting lineups. It was all the dudes out there in Chicago in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I want to look like 50 Cent. That haircut right there, uh, next to the clippers right there, Tyree did that one.
Oh
I
yeah.
just reposted his. So that's what I mean. He's a master at his craft as well.
Oh yeah. It's a nice fade lineup.
Um, and then the one to the left of that clipper is another barber in my shop. His name's Delano, and he was kind of new there, but he was still getting really good. But all the guys, I got to give them a shout out too. 13 of them. I don't know. I might forget one of them.
Mhm. Yeah, y'all do some good haircuts.
We got some girls in there that do pretty much everything. They do lashes. They do nails, they do eyebrows, they do hair color. But it's a pretty much a one-stop shop. You could pretty much get anything done. Remember that story I was telling you about the guy who paid me for COVID and I took the money to my,
This
yep,
one,
that's him. That's him right there.
yeah, he looked like he got some money.
Oh yeah, but he's just like you, Chin, probably a millionaire, but super down to earth. Just I worked for his wife at Dairy Queen and my wife worked for him at the Spick and Span. And they catered our wedding for free
Hmm.
and they've just always been really good to us.
I know. It's like a 90. I think I did a 90.
That sign right there, that was the first sign on our first barber shop. And
Right here.
then no, that's the shop we're in right now. And
Mm-hmm.
then that sign that's hanging on the wall, that was from the first barber shop.
Right here. Okay. And then your instructor's license.
Yes. That's me sitting on the couch with my daughter. We're trying to mean mug everybody, trying to be serious.
Hmm.
This guy in the green jacket pointing at his beard or at his lack of a beard, he's getting his instructor license. He tests on the 23rd and he's gonna help me at the school.
Oh, okay.
And that's yeah. But let's see. There's my buddy Kayvon. He just went to the Olympics for rugby. You see me holding his jersey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look him up, he's on the USA Olympic team. And he just I don't know if he's back from Paris or not, but he was always okay. Remember the story I told you about the rugby guys coming in on my
Yeah.
first show? He was the first guy to walk in from the rugby team.
Hmm.
And I gave his son his very first haircut. And so now that he's kind of a big shot in the rugby world, he'll call me or text me every now and then. He's
Mm-hmm.
always pretty busy, but I appreciate that he remembers me.
He gave you that jersey.
Yep. There's some of the guys sitting in okay, so there's Sam, she does like she's our nail tech, nails. Tyree is the guy with his arms crossed. Marcos is one of my classmates from high school. Isaiah is the one um that's gonna be an instructor. And this video, I mean in that picture to the left, was when I was still a firefighter standing with my buddy JJ.
Well, here.
A little bit up.
Oh, right here.
Yeah. We had we had the state's largest fire in history right in our pretty much in our backyard. You could
Well,
still see the smoke and the fire in the back.
yeah. Back
You
there.
could look that up. It's called the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon fire. That was pretty big. That made national news for sure.
Hmm.
If you go right there, you see that group picture
Which
of
one?
um that one right there. Right
This.
under. Yep. Let's see. In that one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we added 3 more after that.
Hmm.
But that's couple of those guys have moved on to a different city. No,
Mm-hmm.
three of those guys have moved on to a bigger city. Actually, wait, 2 moved to a bigger city, 1 moved to a smaller town, and one of them has his own shop now. His shop is called JK Hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all super good guys. Still keep in contact with them every now and then. But yeah, I want to shout them out, show them some love too.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
There's Brandon right there with the face with the mask, the COVID mask.
Yeah, that haircut is perfect. Look at that blend.
Yeah, he's one of my clients, and now he's one of my barber students.
There's no way I could cut something like that.
Chin, if you could open the biggest
I
barber,
I opened the smallest barber school. It grew.
well, if it grew into what it did, and
Yeah.
there's Jess and I getting married right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's my brother-in-law. That's the one that gave me a lineup.
Oh, is it?
Yep. His name's Richard. So he's the one who got me into barbering in the first place.
Hmm. I don't know if they got any questions. Let me see. Okay, yeah, they got some questions for you. Let's see.